Grant Cooper is blowing up about COVID-19 travel restrictions and government red tape. He says his battle to travel to New Zealand to see his gravely ill brother highlights a flawed system. Steve Marshall explains.
Hey, wake up, clown. This is reality. We're not football players. This is life.
From anger to anguish. To suggest Grant Cooper has a beef with our Home Affairs Department is an understatement.
You can go to hell.
Because for Grant, it is a matter of life and death.
Answer the emails, answer your correspondence, instead of ignoring it and treating people like shit. We're humans. That's it. Simple.
It's a dreaded phone call we hope we never get. And when Grant Cooper learned his brother Bernie had fallen gravely ill in New Zealand and wasn't given long to live, what should have been a straightforward trip across the Tasman became a journey of fury and frustration.
You could have let me be there to say goodbye to him in hospital. To be treated like this is just bullshit.
The COVID lockdown brought most international flights to a screeching halt. But there are exemptions, such as being given government clearance to travel on compassionate grounds. But Grant Cooper reckons he's been banging his head against a brick wall, applying for an exemption through the Australian Home Affairs website.
You try and get into their website, it is a living, walking, talking nightmare. It doesn't function. I just went, stuff it, I'll go directly to Peter Dutton. I think I've sent him about 5 emails or 6 emails, not one response.
Welcome to the Department of Home Affairs. Our website has a range of information. Due to the high volume of calls,
Grant spent the best part of a week trying to get in touch with the Home Affairs office.
if you're calling about visa
As each day passed, he became more desperate to get to New Zealand in time to say goodbye to Bernie.
On top of what I'm dealing with my brother, the government, I am about to burst a vessel. I am so pissed off at these idiotic morons that have just reacted and not given an ounce of thought of what they've set up.
Say a massive thank you to the Warriors for the effort they've made.
Grant's bewildered how swiftly governments on both sides of the Tasman allowed the Warriors rugby league team to travel to Australia to satisfy footy fans.
First play of the
How are you allowing, excuse me, a bunch of Neanderthals to travel from New Zealand and kick a football around a field, and you can't allow someone that's got a dying brother in New Zealand to travel? Come on, fair is fair.
We also emailed the Home Affairs office about Grant's situation, and we didn't get a response either.
I think the system has failed Mr Cooper.
So we called Pat Conroy, the federal Labor MP for Shortland in New South Wales, where Grant lives.
I think Mr Cooper's point is very fair, and I think Australians are very fair-minded. They understand why we have these tough COVID restrictions to preserve the health of Australians. What Australians don't like is double standards, where one class of people get faster or better treatment than another. And so I think Mr Cooper's angst about how certain people were treated compared to him is very understandable.
Grant's not asking for travel clearance for an entire team, but it is hard for him to go anywhere without his registered assistance dog, George.
Go and get your bowl. Go on.
Grant Cooper's backstory is as colourful as his language.
It's just so wrong what you're doing.
In 2008, he suffered a shocking work accident.
2.5 tonne of wood come off a truck and landed on top of me. Broke my pelvis at the sacrum, pubic femur bone, and shattered my femur into 4 places.
That incident led to an ugly workplace cover battle that left Grant with not only physical, but also mental scars as well. How important is it for George to come with you to New Zealand?
With the nature of my injuries and the PTSD I suffer, I need him there.
Grant admits he can be abrupt and a handful to deal with, but his plight highlights the incredibly difficult challenge of flying internationally in this COVID-ridden era. A challenge made all the more extreme by a confusing online application process and the failure by the Home Affairs office to return his emails and calls. What's your biggest fear here?
He's going to die before I even get to see him. I won't get to see him. I won't even get to the funeral. That's what I think is going to happen.
Unfortunately, these were prophetic words. After a current affair and Labor MP Pat Conroy intervened on a Friday night, Grant Cooper says he received government permission to leave Australia on Sunday morning. But it was too little, too late.
And about an hour later, we got a call from the hospital saying that he had died.
We caught up with an emotional Grant the next day, who took his grief out on Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton.
The damage that you've done to me is irreparable. It can never be repaired. Never, ever, ever. It's just something I will never forget.
Government departments need to put themselves in the shoes of citizens, ordinary citizens who don't have lawyers at their beck and call, who don't have people to assist them when they put together these application processes. And I think this is one where the system has failed Mr Cooper, and the system needs to do much better in the future.
Okay.
There's only a few little things to finish off and then it's ready to go.
Ironically, COVID-19 had smashed Grant's brother Bernie's plans to travel around the country in this motorhome he was storing at Grant's house.
It's something he wanted to do most of his life, was travel around Australia. Left it too late. Just left it too late.
Sadly, it was a double whammy for Grant. The travel delay also impacted his New Zealand government clearance to enter the country, so he missed Bernie's funeral as well.